Okay, hey, hi, and welcome. Today's topic is a game called Eldest Souls. I first got introduced to the game through a Steam dumpster dive video from Iron Pineapple, where it piqued my interest. So I bought it on Steam for about 20 bucks. The game is also available on PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. It was developed by Fallen Flag Studio, which sounds like an actual game development studio, but the game was primarily made by 3 people, and the main guy took a break from his studies, which makes it all the more fascinating, and you got to appreciate their dedication. Eldest Souls is a pixelated Souls-like boss rush RPG with a top-down view. Okay, that might have been a bit much, so let us quickly go over what was said. Pixelated refers to the graphics. Souls-like refers to the Dark Souls games, gloomy, dark, hard, with action combat and a dodge roll, especially a dodge roll. Boss rush means that you only fight boss monsters, no other enemies. RPG refers to some kind of customization to your character, mostly a build which influences your way of playing the game, and a story which you can influence through your decisions in the game. Top-down refers to the fixed isometric camera angle of the game. Let's take a look at the graphics. The game looks amazing. The artwork is really impressive and the attention to detail is great. The music is great as well and matches the environment really good. Story. Upon starting the game, you get shown one amazing cutscene, which I always like to watch.
Was born. Eons of idleness passed before suddenly it shattered.
And I am not sure, but I think they hired the same voice actors from Dark Souls. Okay, upon comparing the intro cinematic to Dark Souls 1, 2 and 3, I can confirm that they did not hire the same voice actors, but the fact that I thought so upon hearing the intro for the first time speaks volumes about how well they did, or how bad my ability is to differentiate between voices. The story is pretty simple. There are some big bad gods that enslaved humanity. One day humanity had enough and rebelled against the gods, winning over them and imprisoning them. Thousands of years later, at the time of the game, the land has been befallen by a curse, and a lot of people turn their faith towards the gods. With humanity devastated and at the brink of collapse, the moon spawned a final, most refined shard which got forged into your sword, with which you are set out to slay the remaining gods inside their prisons. Gameplay. The basic combat is smooth and feels well refined. You got a basic attack, a charge attack, a dodge roll, and a blood burst. In game, a blood burst is a powerful attack, only possible after you landed a charge attack. To be precise, you can cast it as long as your bloodthirst bar is at least half full. Charging an attack locks you in place, but up until you are fully charged, you can always change the direction. The enemies have a defined moveset. This makes it quite easy to remember, although it is not easy to master, because the order of abilities is mostly random and there are a bunch of area of effect attacks. The timing of the abilities also greatly varies between bosses. For character customization, you can choose between 3 main skills: Wind Slide, Berserker Slash and Counter. You can then choose between a path for a specialization, if you want to call it that. Those mostly passive effects can change the use of your ability a lot, as well as your basic attack, charge attack and your blood burst. For further customization, you can imbue the skill you chose, your charge attack, your blood burst and your dodge roll with a boss soul crystal thingy, which gives those moves additional properties. You can also use one of the crystals as another ability. The crystals have varying effects depending on what they got added to. For example, the frost soul added to your blood burst will spawn a 2-second delayed icicle that will replenish your bloodthirst bar if it hits the enemy. The same soul added to your dodge roll will let you dodge once more without consuming stamina for the next 1.5 seconds after dodging. Oh yeah, and do read the descriptions carefully. A lot of those soul crystals have negative effects as well, mostly losing health for more damage if you are above a certain threshold. You can also collect 4 recipes for other weapon types, which all have different stats: damage, attack speed and movement speed, which also helps in customizing your playstyle. The way to the first enemy functions as a tutorial, introducing the game's basic mechanics: attacking obstacles, charging barricades, blood-bursting doors, and dodging life-threatening locks. Now, let me tell you more about my experience going into this. I first got caught by surprise when the first lock hit and killed me.
I'm getting strong, from the intro alone, I'm getting massive Dark Souls vibes, especially because I think the... Damn it.
That was the first reminder that this will be no cakewalk. So I put on my big boy pants and sat up straight in my chair. I do have the habit of overly thoroughly exploring the starting area of a new game I play, to get as many impressions as quickly as possible to better distinguish the environment from actual game relevant stuff. This comes in clutch in this game, since a lot of relevant items can be found before and after the first boss, which you could easily miss. For example, the abyssal effigy or the harp string. The effigy is used for one of the endings, and the harp string can be gifted to the traveling bard, which in return rewards you for it with a feather that increases your out of combat movement speed. This comes in clutch because the map is massive and the walking distance between bosses therefore takes time. Sure, you can use the crystals as fast travel points, but you got to get there in the first place. And with the feather being available from the start, it helps out a lot. Oh yeah, this is only acquirable after fighting the first boss and before defeating the second. After that, the bard won't be there anymore. The first enemy can hardly be considered a boss. With this one, it is clear that it is made as a tutorial boss. This does not mean it is a pushover. It definitely has some mechanics and attacks that could kill you. With that said, I beat it on the second try. Now, onward to the first boss, to the first actual boss. Which reminds me of something. Somewhere I've seen this before. Yeah, that's right. It's the fucking first boss of Dark Souls 3, Gundyr. It is a copy. There, you may took a bit too much inspiration from Dark Souls. It even got the same transition into the second phase of the fight. Now, this boss is no cakewalk. Yeah, sure, it is the first boss and compared to the later bosses, rather easy. But it will surely whoop your ass if you don't respect its attacks, which goes for all the bosses. Most of the bosses are manageable, and you can see your progress rather quickly. There's only one boss that absolutely got to me, and it was the Frost boss. Due to its small arena and its massive AoE attacks, I got hit so many times. And guess what happens after getting hit 3 times? You will be slowed to a halt, and the boss casts an almost impossible to dodge icicle from the ground beneath you, which only deals 45 damage. Got about 100 health. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, while Bloodburst is up, attacks generate a lot of health. This is a major mechanic of the combat. Due to your rather small health pool, the number of mistakes you can allow yourself is rather limited, and you got to make it up with a bunch of risky close combat attacks after landing a charge attack. This definitely helps at increasing the stakes. You either regenerate your life to live a little longer, or you die trying to. Most bosses have certain time windows in which you can damage them, which is fair, but there are also moments in which I felt that there was so much happening at once that there was no way of escaping death. But enough about the bosses. I wanted to get a bit more into the different endings. As far as I'm aware, there are 6 different endings: neutral, dark, ice, fire, frost, and the old gods. And yes, I beat the game for each one of them. But first I wanted to tell you how I beat the game the first time and achieved the neutral ending. I beat every boss, collected everything there was to collect, and did not delve into the depths. So I did not defeat the newly added 3 bosses, and definitely the hardest. I also had the assumption that I could just beat them after defeating the final boss, but I was proven otherwise. And the game immediately rolled the ending cutscene and the credits. Upon skipping the credits, my save file has been upped to New Game +1, which increases the enemy's health, damage, area of effect abilities, and their moveset has been updated. This is quite common with most games of this type, and I sure as hell felt like I could just beat everything again in New Game Plus to unlock the other endings. This is definitely not the first time I've gotten good now. If you've paid attention to the way I wrote the script, you may have concluded at what I am hinting at. I barely managed to defeat the tutorial mob, not the first boss. I mean the fucking Red Warrior. The fucker went from a lobotomized husk of an enemy to a fucking demigod of wrath, dealing 30 plus damage with its attacks and casting an arena-wide AoE every now and then, which requires an almost frame-perfect dodge, but I managed to beat that thing into the ground, only to be completely wiped like the last piece of toilet paper on a public toilet by the first boss. Okay, I want to make this crystal clear. I beat the game the first time in about 2 hours. I beat most of the bosses in a true and honest fashion without any glitches or bugs. I tried to beat the first boss for 5 hours straight without getting any closer to defeating it. I managed to get the Gundir's copy a bunch of times into the second phase, but then the difficulty increased even further, because it is casting those damn AoE fields beneath you every second. Those deal minor damage for every second you stand in them, but there won't be any moment in the second phase where you can deal damage to the boss without standing inside those puddles. This makes it a race. You gotta beat the boss before you succumb. And with the boss having about a third of its health left, which is about 2k health, this is almost unwinnable. After 5 hours and countless defeats, I quit and admitted to myself that I ain't gonna get good in this game. But because I wanted to see the other endings, I did start a new save file. And boy, did I annihilate the first boss. That fucker stood no chance. As much as the New Game Plus version stomped me into the ground, I did the same to the normal version. So I did breeze through the game 5 more times and did finish all the other endings. With my best run being a sub 45 minute, which looking at the speedrunning leaderboards would put me at 29th place out of 28. Not that I would care. Damn, 29th out of 28? Fuck. Okay. The best time being 10 minutes and 40 seconds. What the fuck? Hold on. I gotta check this. Okay. I use nothing out of the ordinary, just some logout skips, and then it's just bursting down the bosses. Impressive. Sorry, I got distracted. So yeah, I beat the game for every ending, and what do you know? The endings do not change a lot. It is the same animation, but the text changes a bit. So yeah, nothing major, sadly. Oh yeah, and by the way, I lost 5 of my save files because I upgraded my PC from an i7 6800K with an Asus X99 gaming mainboard and 32GB of DDR4 RAM with 2800 MHz to an AMD Ryzen 5 7600X, an ASRock X670E PG Lightning mainboard and 32GB of DDR5 RAM with 7200 MHz. And I must say, it feels way smoother than I thought it would. But yeah, I lost the save files to the RAM not running stable and crashing my PC while playing, which corrupted the files, and therefore I had to play the game again. Because I did not play through the endings one by one, I beat every boss in each of the save files and then wanted to record all the endings in a quick succession, which in hindsight was a rather stupid idea. But enough now, I give this game an 8 out of 10. Nice graphics, gameplay feels good and the music is nice. The normal bosses are challenging. New Game Plus is a bit too harsh for me and it felt a little short, but that's okay. If this piqued your interest as well, have a go at it. The game is not too expensive and the developers will definitely appreciate you buying their game. If you like what you saw, please leave a like and consider subscribing. It would mean a lot to me. I will keep making more videos, so stay tuned. Have a nice day. Bye.